Hey, family! Welcome to another episode of the Black Man's Roundtable. I am your host, Rodney Butler, and we apologize for running a little bit behind for those of you who were waiting to check us out live. And but you will get, of course, the recorded version of this. But we are now live. Candidate Ruben Tillman, who is a candidate for commission for the County Commission District 2 seat. Was at another engagement, and hey, when you're on the campaign trail, things happen, and we got an entire series of this, so expect to see even more sometime of the candidates that we are interviewing to run a little bit behind. But hey, we are absolutely glad to have him, and absolutely glad he is here. Hey, Ruben, how you feeling?
I'm doing great, Rob. Doing great. I appreciate you. I appreciate it. Again. Apologize for my tardiness, leaving in a prior engagement. The engagement went very well. It better go well if I'm running a couple of minutes late for this, right? So I appreciate your diligence. I appreciate everybody's diligence, and thank you.
Hey, brother, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So look, since we are running a little bit behind, I usually kind of opine a little bit once I ask, the questions that I'm going to ask you. We are running about 10 minutes behind, so I'm not going to do too much. I'm not going to go into it as much as I would like to, because I like to kind of keep it, to an hour. But at any rate, hey, you ready to go?
Yes, sir. I'm locked and loaded. I'm ready to do it, man. Let's do it.
Hey, let's do it, man. Hey, look, the first question that we're going to ask, the first couple of questions, is going to be about your background, and your qualifications. And the first question, Ruben, is what motivated you to run for the position of county commission?
Awesome. So I have quite a few motivations. I'll start with my political aspirations first, right? So I've had the kid dream of being the president of the United States since I was about 5 years old.
All right.
And that dream kind of matured and was fostered through middle school. I always wanted to be the class president, always giving the speeches at graduations, being the class president in high school as well. And that transitioned into, a full ride scholarship at Texas A&M University, where I majored in political science, right? And I also served in the 71st session of Senate, representing over 60,000 students at Texas A&M within my one caucus, right? And then that just transitioned into immediately after graduating, accepting a role as a legislative aide for the county commissioner, right? For the immediate past Vice Chairman Robinson, who was the commissioner that just resigned, whose seat we are running for right now. And so I have 3 years experience with the Board of Commissioners, working with them directly with the ins and outs of it. I may be the youngest candidate, but I have the most experience with the commission role and with this sector of government specifically, right? And then I have experience with all three sectors of government: your judicial, your legislative, and your executive. So I'm currently the statewide diversion program manager for Project Pinnacle. And what Project Pinnacle is a statewide diversion program for all first-time nonviolent felony offenders between the ages of 17 and 25. So instead of going to prison, paying restitution, or being on probation, they'll do my program for a year, and they'll get their case dismissed by the district attorney. And we are also implementing that in Douglas County as we speak.
Hey, look, I'm one that always believed that, well, at least in most cases, that experience trumps age and it trumps education almost any day of the week. Not in all cases, but so yeah, don't worry about being the youngest, man. Like you said, you got that experience. Okay, we're going to move right on into the next question. Can you briefly outline your relevant experience? Now, you did a little bit cover that in your first answer, but can you briefly outline your relevant experience and qualifications for this role? And if you be repetitive, it's okay with what you said previously. Go ahead.
I got you. Yes, sir. Like I said before, I was an intern for the Board of Commissioners, working under the Vice Chairman, and I was employed by him as his legislative aide for 2 years. So they gave me a direct, a firsthand experience of what it takes to wake up and serve your community in the capacity of a commissioner's seat, right? And my experience, whenever I speak, what sets me apart from my opponents is I always come speaking about the budget. Right, because the budget is 85% of what you'll be handling as your county commissioner. So I come with, and not just the budget, but in layman's terms, and breaking down what's actually being done with your taxpayer dollars. Right, so that's what qualifies me. Again, I have experience with all three sectors of government, coming from a government background. I'm also a youth pastor, so I come from a faith base or a sense of morals, right, that you can get from that. And so, yeah, I'm ready to go, man. You can check my qualifications. I'm well sure, very well to answer any questions about what I can do or my vision for the county.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. We're going to keep it rolling. We're going to go right into the understanding the role. This is important, to me as well, because a lot of times people run for, these positions and they don't quite even understand the role, or they don't understand exactly what they're getting themselves into. So this is why I wanted to pose this as a question to you. In understanding the role, what, in your view, are the primary responsibilities of a county commissioner?
Well, absolutely. That's a great question. So I can easily tell you how the primary responsibilities of the county commissioner is to handle your taxpayer dollars, to approve the budget for our services within the county, and make sure you got roads paved and street lights up. But to break it down into more real world examples, when the HOA is on your back about, or harassing you about certain things, who comes back for you? Who can be that liaison, that medium to speak on your behalf of what's really going on? It's your county commissioners. Right, I live in the tributary villages. I have a neighbor whose house value went up by $176,000 within 2 years, and that's only because we had another neighbor whose home sold for $600,000. Right, so who can explain to him how his property values increased, but we've adopted the same millage rate for the past 4 years? Right, who can explain that the millage rate increased by 2.5 in 2020 due to the pandemic? Right, and now that the pandemic is over, quote unquote, we haven't rolled it back. Right, because of inflation. Right, so you need a county commissioner who's going to break that down into layman's terms, and that's the roles and the capacities of your county commissioner.
Absolutely, and of course, you are in District 2, and
yes, sir.
And you know that District 2 is a district that is probably one of the most business focused kind of concentrated districts in the county.
Absolutely.
So that's very important what you said.
Absolutely. District 2 is the economic engine for the county. We have over a $17.9 million tax revenue, which is leading by double digits by the next closest district, correct? But we have a plethora of warehouses. We have a plethora of Family Dollars, Dollar Trees, Dollar Generals, and we have a plethora of car washes, right? There's not too many new businesses that are in reflection of what our citizens want and desire. The average commute time for a Douglas County resident is 33 and a half minutes. Meaning every time you get in your car before you return back to your house, it's going to be about a 33 and a half minute commute. That's because we outsource for fine dining. We outsource for entertainment. We outsource for even grocery shopping and fitness, right? People go to other places. They go to our neighboring counties for such, right? And so that's my job, to be more homegrown economic development and make sure our taxpayer dollars reflect the things that we actually want.
Great. Part two of that question is, how familiar are you with the current challenges and opportunities facing our county? More specifically, District 2, but we can also talk county as a whole as well.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Be more District 2 specific. I had a chance to look at the comprehensive plan, and I was under the administration that first signed off on the plan when it was first being implemented back in 2019. Right. So for those of you who don't know, the comprehensive plan is, you can Google it, Douglas County's Comprehensive Plan 2025. What it is a 5-year outlook, or a 5-year goal setting, if you would, for the county in specific areas. Right. And the two areas that were outlined in the comprehensive plan were the Lee Road area, small area, and also the Sweetwater small areas. And it had a whole on the left column, it had everything that was wrong or potential problems that could arise in these areas. And to the right of the column, it had the goals set for these areas. Right. And the only goal that we've only tackled within the entire problem side for both areas was the widening of Lee Road, which is yet to be completed. Right. And that's to throw nobody under the bus. I understand construction happens. You got to wait for the right weather restrictions to go and finish the job. But what about the economic development? More specifically, what about the homegrown economic development? Right. And so there's a lack of healthy food or whole food options. Right. We have a Switch warehouse, a Google warehouse, a StockX, an Amazon. We have a Lionsgate studio, but we have nowhere to eat after 9 o'clock. Those are things that I want to address and tackle under my administration.
Okay. And basically what your answer to the second part of understanding your role actually segues beautifully into my next set of couple of questions that talks about economic development. Under which, what is your vision for promoting economic development within the county? Again, I know you covered some of it even in your answer, So, man, hey, you are on it because you are answering. But it's making it easy for the interviewer because you are making it easy for me to segue right into the next stuff because of the way you answer it.
I was 10 minutes late, man. So I better come prepped. You know what I mean, right?
Hey, man, you making up for it. I'm telling you right now. This is you making it very easy to segue into this stuff. But yeah, you start speaking about economic development. But I'll ask you part one again. What is your vision for promoting economic development within the county?
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Like I said, it's easier to talk about, having new businesses like fine dining or healthy food and late night food options. But we can even break it down to be even more specific within District 2, right? So with our medium house income, we actually qualify for a Whole Food store or a Sprout store or a Costco's or a Jamba Juice, right? Just more healthy food options within the district. We have a plethora of undeveloped land within the Lee Road small area. That's also outlined in the comprehensive plan. And we still have yet to do anything with the undeveloped land. Right, people ask for more affordable housing. People are asking for less townhomes and less apartments. But we've grown those three sectors, right? So let's be more specific, especially the area, the office area right next to the highway on Interstate 20 on Fairburn Road, which used to be Tinseltown, right? That's been unused for years, right? Mount Carmel Park has been shut down for over a decade. Right, these are areas and places that are in the middle hub of District 2 that could really foster more homegrown economic development opportunities. But it all depends on your leadership.
Great. All right. Part two of the economic development question I have for you is: how do you plan to attract and retain businesses while balancing environmental concerns? Because before you answer, we do have the Black Man's Roundtable have a nice little viewership of young viewers, and it is one of the reasons why I put that under economic development about balancing the businesses that come to Douglas County, while keeping environmental concerns, because they are very concerned about our environment. But yes, go ahead and answer that one.
Absolutely. And I feel as if that question is aimed directly at the plethora of warehousing that we use. We cut down these spaces. Yes, again, I live in tributary villages right on Riverside, right? And so we cut down these trees. We see the road kill in the middle of the roads, and we replace these trees with warehouses. Now, again, I've looked at the comprehensive plan, right? I see that 8 out of our top 10 citizen employment companies are the warehouse companies, right? And so I have an opponent who's in favor of more taxation of the warehouses that come in, right? But to be truthful, that's already being done. Saying those conversations are already being had, because what makes us the highest tax revenue district is the taxation of these warehouses and the employment of these warehouses. But what we don't know is that 45% of that employment is temporary employment. Meaning that they're not employed by Switch, they're not employed by Google, they're not employed by Amazon, they're employed by Ronstadt, right? And so I just left the Atlanta Labor Council meeting, right? And they talked about more programs like apprenticeship, right? But these companies and these warehouses that we have within the district, they are against unions, they're against apprenticeship programs, and they're against, it's like you said, there's a lot of young people, viewers that watch this, that watch the Black Man Roundtable. I don't know too many people around my age that have stayed at their current job more than 3 years.
Yes, sir. And
that's a problem, right? So I'm in favor of more unionized and to be more environmental centric. When I get elected, I plan on being on a very, very heavily influenced in the Parks and Rec department. I'm a youth coach within the environment. And so I'm in these communities. I'm at these local parks. I'm in the green spaces, right? I just left the Democratic Party meeting last week. They talked about how the citizens really, really want a green trail, a massive green trail that goes across the county. Right. So again, I'm in favor of these places, but in District 2, we are stuck. Even though we have the highest tax revenue, we get stuck with the warehouses. We get stuck with all these things that pollute the environment. All right. I come down Thornton Road to take Riverside. I see the smoke that's in the air. Right. So come on, man. It's time to get a better hold of our economic development and our homegrown economic development. I'm tired of Douglas County being a commute county. It's time to make Douglas County entertainment heavy, to make it fine dining options. Right. And make it more options for our youth as well.
Absolutely. Diversity is key. I'm a homeowner. I'm a guy of a certain age. But at the same time, what I would tell you is that it is not good for our county to necessarily have, just everybody who's a homeowner or everybody who's a renter or everybody, it fits in one category. And so yeah. And, although you may think sometimes that, hey, this is what, we know that older voters and stuff come out in bigger numbers. But at the same time, there are people who have, grandchildren who are going to be coming, right behind them. So don't ever think you're not, just that they don't want to hear it either, because they want to hear stuff that is good for their grandchildren, because they love their grandchildren just like they love, themselves. So that's outstanding. So next, and again, man, another great segue, because we're going right into infrastructure and services. And under infrastructure and services, I would like to ask you just one question out of infrastructure and services, which is, what priorities do you have for improving local infrastructure, such as roads? And again, you talked about it a little bit. Like I said, you segued right into it, such as roads, public transportation, and utilities.
Absolutely. That's a great question. So again, as my time as legislative aide, I was on an administration that signed off on the Connect Douglas bus system, right? Which was a great idea, but I believe it had improper implementation. What I mean by that is we just recently cut over 40 buses from the fleet. Right, and the majority of our senior citizens utilize these buses, right, which will help with the traffic and that happens in the earlier mornings or after the work day ends. Right, we just cut 40 buses, so that's over 40 jobs again that our senior citizens were utilizing for the jobs as well, not just for the transportation. Right, so again, not only being heavily influenced with Parks and Rec, but I also want to be heavily influenced in our transportation department and making sure that the infrastructure that we have is in place. I love what we did with downtown Douglasville and how we curved that corridor to connect us to Dallas Highway to make it an easier trip for my people that live off Dallas to make it to the highway and to get to working from, right? But that just speaks volume to us being, again, another commute county, right? And we can't be a commute county if we don't have proper public transportation. You know what I mean? So again, public transportation is a must. Again, we could talk about how roads need to be paved and how street lights need to be in certain places, but the proper public transit system will be the separator between us and a major county within Georgia, which we already are. We're amongst the fastest growing counties in the state of Georgia. We just grew by 12% per our last census, and we have another census coming up, which is going to show our growth again. Right? So again, new business, proper tax money allocation, and public safety, but also making sure that our transportation is in full effect to get it so everybody can maneuver around the county.
Okay. Before I move on to budget and fiscal responsibility, I want to ask you, so you talk about Douglas County being a commute county, and I just want to make sure that our listeners, understand exactly what is meant by that, but also obviously you don't see a lot of pros when it comes down to the county being a commute county. So if you do, feel free to opine on them, but if not, then let us know, let the viewers know. First of all, make them understand what is a commute county or a commute city, and then the cons that come along with that.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. And if I use any other acronyms or words that you want me to explain, feel free to stop me.
Oh, you better believe it. That's a big part of my job here, is to make sure that, hey, everybody understand your language, because we don't want anybody missing out, on what you're trying to say, because, politicos sometimes, take for granted that people might know stuff, but go ahead. You're doing outstanding.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. So what I mean by Douglas County is a commute county. That means we have a plethora of people that live in Douglas County but do not work in Douglas County, and a plethora of people that work in Douglas County but do not live in Douglas County, which means at 8 o'clock in the morning, for just taking a regular work day, for example, from a 9 to 5, right, from around 8 to 9 o'clock in the morning, people are getting up and leaving the county to go to their jobs, and people are getting up and entering the county to work their jobs. And at 5 o'clock, they switch. The people that work here are leaving to go home, and the people that live here are coming home from whatever county they work in. Right, so that was what makes us a commute county. We lack a lot of jobs. Like, again, per the comprehensive plan, 8 out of our 10, biggest employers for citizens within the county are those warehouses. Right, the Googles, the Amazons, the StockX's, the Gordon Foods, right, and so those are people that live in the county and work in the county. right? But that's what constitutes us as being a commute county, quote unquote. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. And like I said, some of the cons to being, a commute county would be things like, if you're a commute county, like you said, you leave in the morning, going outside of the community to go to work, and then in the evening, the same thing is happening. People are leaving outside of the community. So I want you to talk a little bit about some of the cons before we move on. And so,
Gotcha.
Obviously, if you are a commute county, basically what you described as a county is a county where a whole lot of people don't have skin in the game, if you will, right?
You're right.
And so therefore, how can being a commute county affect things like keeping Douglas County beautiful?
That's a great question. When it comes to being a commute county, and that's one of the cons that come with being a commute county, right? Because when it comes to infrastructure, whenever anybody hears infrastructure, the first thing that flashes in my mind is dirt, your construction workers, cones and whatnot. And so that kind of takes away from the beautification of Douglas County. Again, I was under the administration that would put the signs up, the welcome to Douglas County, off of the Thornton Road exit and off of the Fairburn Road exits, right? Before then, you didn't even know if you were in Douglas County or Cobb County or the city of South Fulton. Right. So that, again, name identifiers is key when it comes to keeping Douglas County beautiful. And that's one of the pros and cons of being a commute county, so that people that are coming in or leaving the county know exactly where they're at. Right. Another con of being a commute county, again, is the infrastructure. Right. We desperately needed to widen Lee Road probably 3-4 years ago. Right. We desperately needed to refine these roads and these pavements about four years ago. Right. Douglas County, a lot of people don't know that per our last census, we have enough citizens to add an extra commission seat. Right. So we're supposed to have 5 commission districts with a chair. Right. Which would be 6 commissioners in total in 5 districts. A lot of people do not know that or acknowledge that. Right, we are growing at a rapid rate, and in order for us to be proactive and get ahead of this curve, we have to have the proper infrastructure in place. We have to have the proper beautification in place to retain, like you said before, retain a lot of these companies, and also require these companies that come in to hire our people. Right, we've done it with the major warehouses, but we need to do it for more of our local entrepreneurship. We need to do it for more of our local plazas and for our local fine food options and whole food options that we want to bring into the county as well.
Okay. I got to ask this before we move on. So you talk about the growth of Douglas County. 2-part question real quick, and it's still under infrastructure. How do you feel about the rapid growth in Douglas County, and do you believe that Douglas County right now is outgrowing its infrastructure?
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%, and I'm in favor. I mean, the growth is inevitable, right? We're neighbors. My house in Tributary Villages is a hop, skip, and a jump away from being designated.
So basically, you like the growth that you're saying?
Oh yeah, I'm in favor of the growth. Yeah, I'm in favor of the growth.
Okay,
because
keep going.
Honestly, and this is just me. We're now 63% African American. Right. In District 2 alone, we have over 33,000 citizens, right, which almost qualifies for a small city if you're from South Georgia. Right, it's almost bigger than a small city. But the beauty about District 2 specifically is that we're a very dense population. Right, so if you grew up in Douglas County in District 2, you pretty much know somebody in every major neighborhood within the county just being there. Right, so we're a very dense county, meaning a lot of our neighborhoods are very, very deep. If you ever went inside an Anawake neighborhood, you need gas just to get to the front of the neighborhood. You know what I mean? So that speaks volumes to how dense we are as a county and a population, which means that we have to take control of the change, right? A wise man once told me that we are very close to either being another Fulton Industrial or being another Smyrna, right? Again, my house is a hop, skip, and a jump away from ATL, which means that the people that are coming here and an influx and that overflow from Atlanta, which is overpopulated in itself, they come where? To Douglas County. Right. So in order for us to get ahead of that growth and get ahead of that change, we have to have the proper infrastructure for a commute. Right. So we don't be congested in the mornings or in the late nights. Right. And we also have to have some options so that people that are in the county, they can do something within the county instead of having to outsource. Again, the average commute time is 33.5 minutes. So literally people are only in Douglas County to lay their heads or to work. They don't eat here. They don't entertain themselves here. They don't find fitness here or grocery shop here. And that is a problem.
Great. All right. Where we at? 25 minutes or so. Okay. Let me go ahead on and move into budget and fiscal responsibility.
Absolutely.
How do you propose managing the county budget effectively, particularly in times of economic uncertainty?
That's a great question. So in Douglas County, again, we operating off of almost $126 million budget, right? We have adopted a 12.5 millage rate, which is the same millage rate that we adopted for the past 4 years. But our property values and the properties within the homes within Douglas County have increased, which include a 2.9% increase, which means on an average house that costs about $250,000, your property taxes increased about $69 or $70 or so. Correct. And so with that, I say all that to say is we have enough money even for crisis management, right? What it comes down to is allocation, right? Because if the pandemic were to happen right now, Douglas County would be in one of the worst spots compared to other counties. What I mean by that is out of the 12.5 millage rate that we have adopted, 0.386% goes to your health department. It goes to your health, right? Your public health. Sorry, I got a phone call. 3, 2. Can you hear me, Rod?
Yes. Keep going, Ruben. You're good.
Yeah. Sorry, I got a phone call. Yeah. So of that, again, we have adopted a 12.5 millage rate. Of that 12.5, 0.386%, 0.386 of that 12.5 goes towards your public health. And of that 0.386%, 98% of that, which is approximately $4 million, goes towards your senior services. We just defunded our mental health, physical health, and disability health services by nearly $1 million within about 3 months ago. It was a vote that was passed 3-0, right? What that did is that defunded our community service board, who was operating off of a $1.2 million budget, to now they're operating off of $250,000. We just grew government in complete disregard of what our citizens need and what our citizens want. It doesn't matter what classification you are in. It doesn't matter what gender you are, sexual orientation, or race or ethnicity. Your taxpayer dollars should be funding your mental health, physical health, and disability health. And the fact that we cut that by almost $1 million and gave our sheriff office a $5 million raise. And the sheriff is a constitutional officer position, which means by constitutional law, we can never lower their budget. We can only match it or increase it. How in the same breath do we defund our people's mental health, physical health, disability health services by nearly $1 million, and we increase the sheriff's budget by $5 million? And we have one of the highest property crimes and petty crime rates in any county out of 159 counties. Right? It doesn't make sense. You take the 840 inmates who are in jail. Of that 840, the sheriff's office gets $3.5 million. That's $4,166 per inmate dedicated to their mental health, physical health, and disability health. Whereas where it was at $1.2 million for the citizens, that was $150 per citizen. Now it's $31.29 per citizen that is dedicated for the mental health, physical health, and disability health. Well, we have students who are in schools who have autism or Down syndrome, and when they graduate from high school, where do they go? The CSB, they have over 146 plus units and that house over 300 homeless people. We just defunded that. We just defunded our Youth Innovation Center, which is placed in District 2, right next to the two lowest performing schools in the county, Lithia Springs High School and Turner Middle School. And we just defunded that. So we have enough money, Rod. We just improperly allocating it. And that's not the whole board. Again, it was a vote that was 3-0. We had one commissioner that was late, and then we had this vacant District 2 seat. This seat is very important to me. I don't look down at this position. I look up at this position, right? I know it's a part-time position, but it is highly important because of of what I just spoke on right there.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I was going to say something while you was talking, but honestly, you was on such a roll with your
I can't even
with your figures. Look, when somebody's on a roll, man, you have to just step back and just let them do their thing. And your facts and figures, I just didn't want to interrupt it. But once again, very great segue into the next question, still under budget and fiscal responsibility, because you talked a lot about, some of the ways that, well, first, here's what I was going to ask you. Do you consider yourself fiscally conservative or fiscally progressive?
Fiscally progressive. I do identify as a Democrat, and with that identification as a Democrat,
Well, no, but not to. Okay, so Ruben, I just want to make sure that sometimes I think when we hear conservative or when we hear progressive, a lot of times, especially with the young people, I want to make sure that the younger people understand that just because you hear the word conservative does not mean Republican, and just because you hear the word progressive, does not mean Democrat. And so these are ideologies, right? And so those are ideologies. So with that being said, because it sounds like you're somewhere based on everything you said with part one, part one of the budget and fiscal responsibility. It sounds like you're a mixture of the two. You're very conservative on some things, but you're very progressive to kind of get things done. And the reason I'm asking you that question is because you've already kind of set up with what you have said in the first part of the question. You've already set up the second part of the question, and I think that it will be enlightening to know whether you consider yourself or see yourself, or maybe you never thought about it. So so don't feel any kind of pressure to ask right now, because you may need further evaluation. But do you consider yourself kind of a fiscally conservative person or a fiscally kind of progressive person, or where do you think you fall?
I think I fall somewhere in a happy medium, like you said, and like you alluded to.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. What I mean by that is I'm progressive when it comes to my people. When it comes to the role of government being to serve and aid the people, right, and making sure that our people are secure. Making sure our youth are able to reach their full potentials, making sure our senior citizens are secure, and making sure that our middle class is unified, right? So okay. I'm very progressive when it comes to time being, especially when it comes to voting to defund mental health, physical health, and disability health services for the whole county, and when it comes to voting to cut all states and state entities and nonprofit entity ties that the county would have to grow government. I'm very progressive and very against stuff like that. But I'm very conservative when as when it comes to securing our already elected and appointed officials, right? Because we have a lot of elected officials who are currently underpaid, right?
And Ruben, that's why I'm asking you that question specifically under money, specifically under fiscal. Whether you're fiscally conservative or fiscally progressive or somewhere in the middle, but basically just on the money issue, that's yeah. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm again, like I said, I lean more towards the progressive side simply because we have the money that replicates our population. Right, okay. we have the money, and then you compare our money to other counties. We have a higher millage rate than Cobb County, Harris County, Bartow County, Forsyth County, Coweta County, other counties and neighboring counties, right? And so again, since we have the money and we're only growing in population, which means we're going to have even more money, I definitely lean more towards the progressive side. Oh yeah, let's do something, and let's do something impactful with this budget.
Got it. So you don't believe in? It's like, hey, we got the money. Don't just let it sit there. Let's spend this money on worthy causes, which would take me right into that next. Like I said, even though you already talked about this a little bit, but it takes me right into the next part of budget and fiscal responsibility, which is, are there specific areas where you see opportunities for cost savings or increased efficiency in the county and specifically District 2, or however you want to chop that up?
Absolutely. Like I said, we just adopted another millage rate, and we just defunded. I don't want to sound like a broken radio, but I'm very passionate about that because I have family members who graduated from these high schools who have autism and whatnot. And so when we just defunded our community service board and our health department by nearly $1.2 million, right? And then in that same breath, we just grew the sheriff constitutional officers budget. Right, and so I feel like it's a complete slap in the face to the average citizen. With real world examples, it's easy to give real world examples about if a young lady is experiencing a domestic violence situation, right, and she needs to leave the house immediately or take the kids to the house immediately for her safety. We just defunded our immediate placement program. right? And so that's a real world example. You know what I mean? So definitely when it comes to more efficiency and cost savings, when it comes to savings, not necessarily no. I don't want to say no because I don't want to sound like I'm just a big spender. But again, we have the money that replicates our population, and that money in that account and that budget is only going to grow from here. All right, it's inevitable. So what I mean by that is the efficiency part of that question is what I want to harp on the most. We need to properly allocate this money. Right, there's no reason that the CSB hasn't received a line item for over $25,000 from the county since 2018. Right, there's no reason that our government services and our public safety services take up the majority of the millage rate, but we leave what actually services our day-to-day citizens need at the bottom of the barrel of the budget. Right, and I know that's replicated. That's what other counties and other governments do. But what I mean by that is we have enough money we need to properly allocate so we can start seeing the more fruits of our labor.
Great. Okay. Okay, Ruben. So before we move on to social issues, let's do a little clarification for the audience. Okay. And I apologize for anybody who who's been a little confused. But you've talked a lot about the CSB, the Community Service Board.
Yes, sir.
Let's let the people know, what the Community Service Board is. Because like you said, it's, the budget's been cut and how important that is. Let them know what it is. First of all, where is it located? I think that'll help a lot of people, in knowing what it is. And then, what are some of the services they do and why you are, why it upsets you that they're not getting the funding that they need.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that. Any time that I can take to big up and promote the Community Service Board, I will take it. You know what I mean? And I can honestly take the rest of this time bigging up and tell you about the services that the Community Service Board does.
I can tell. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So first of all, I'll start with their location. They're located, don't quote me, but I know it's on Stewart Parkway. I believe it's 5903 Stewart Parkway, right? That's off Highway 5. It's in District 1. Right, and what it is a big plaza.
It is West Stewart Mill, but you are absolutely right. Go ahead.
Oh, it's Stewart Mill. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. And what it is the Community Service Board. They service on average about 10,000 citizens per year. Right, and what it is it helps with they do screenings for mental health, physical health, and disability health services. They have the One Family Center that is right next to the board that they also own and operate. And what that does is they host free events for the community, free events for the kids. I was able to go there for the Women of Douglasville vendor program that they hosted, where they had all these vendors and local entrepreneurs within the county, and they opened up their doors for that. They also opened up their doors for Brothers in Brunch nonprofit. Almost every nonprofit or up and coming nonprofit or grassroots program that is in Douglas County, they utilize the Community Service Board, right? The Community Service Board, they also have, they give out medicine. Again, they have housing, over 146 units for the homeless in Douglas County, right? When we talk about public safety, we talk about reaching our young people, but we talk about making an impact on our community, right? But we don't talk about how the Wellstar Board says that 1 in every 3 youth between the ages of 15 and 18 right now currently has an STI. Right, that's a lack of sexual education within the schools. That's a lack of sex education initiatives, right? And if we just cut all ties with state and local entities, then they utilize the CSB services as well. Then we just cut, the initiatives to help stop that problem, right? 33% counts as an epidemic, right? And so when it comes to the CSB, they are a state-ran program. Right, meaning that they report to the state. They are audited by the state. They are not audited by the county. The county has no power to hire or fire at the CSB, which is elusive.
And Ruben, let me interrupt you just 1 second.
Oh, go ahead.
I want to clarify for some of our much younger viewers that might be listening, and also some of our much more seasoned viewers. When you say STI, you mean in sexually transmitted infection. So I just want for everybody to understand that, because different generations calls them different things, So,
yes,
but go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. So, I'll touch on that, man, because we can talk about our youth and how our CSB is heavily involved with programs for the youth. Again, they also not just the building at Stewart Mill, right, but they also house the Youth Innovation Center, right, which is in the middle of District 2, right, between Lithia Springs High School and Turner Middle School, right, on the same South Sweetwater Road, if I'm not mistaken. Right. And so with that and with our youth, man, we have over 60 young ladies already in Douglas County in 2024 already in February who have had a baby under the age of 18. Right. That's over 10 per high school. Right. Like I said, I'll say it again. One in every third youth between the ages of 15 and 18 currently have an STI. Meaning, if you have a young lady or a young man who is in high school who wants to experience sexual relations for the first time, they have a 33% chance of catching something. Right? That's a problem that qualifies as an epidemic. And who do they go to for the free community resources to address these problems? They go to their community service board, which is funded through your taxpayer dollars, or should I say, just got defunded.
Yes, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ruben. I think that one of those predominant STIs is actually syphilis, which we know still to this day is incurable. So these are our nieces and nephews and our children and our grandchildren.
Yes.
And a lot of times the family members, parents and even grandparents are the last ones to know, man. So I appreciate you being out on the ground and understanding that these kids are out here with lifelong diseases, and the CSB and others are trying to do something about it. So we appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's not just the diseases. You know, the main thing when I first walked the building and got a tour from their director, what almost brought a tear to my eye is the departments that they have for different people within the community. Like I said, they have whole rooms and programs for our autistic or Down syndrome community. That, you know, like I said, I have family members who have graduated from these high schools, and if we would have known that something like the CSB existed, they probably would have had an easier transition outside of high school. You know what I mean, for them personally. Right. So just to see the type of things that they have, they work with job placement, workforce development. They know screenings for if you know people that suffer from alcohol abuse, right, or detox programs for that, right. People who suffer from abuse or addiction, right. They are all community oriented and community centered. And State Bill 403, Senate Bill 1013, House Bill 403 requires that our counties support our CSBs. They even say the word CSB in the bill specifically, right? And there are 22 out of 159 counties that have a CSB, and Douglas County just defunded one of ours by $1 million. Defunded ours by nearly $1 million.
Absolutely.
So technically, we just broke the law.
Absolutely, and one other community that they service, Ruben, which is a growing community in Douglasville and Douglas County, which is a community that's near and dear to my heart, is they also service our veterans.
Absolutely. Our veterans represent 8.5 to 9.5% of our total population in Douglas County. And when it comes to homelessness within Douglas County, they represent a much higher percentage of that.
Yes, sir. And they are avid voters.
Yes.
So, yes, sir. So, okay. We're going to move on. Where we at? 43. We're going to move on to some social issues. Yeah. So, I'm just going to ask one under social. How do you plan to address social issues such as affordable housing, homelessness, and mental health services within the county?
Outstanding. And again, I'll try not to sound like a broken record with the CSB. But when it comes to affordable housing, I first want to put my political hat on.
Hey man, just speak your passion. You're sounding okay. Speak your passion, and yes, there is a lot of things overlap. I mean, and so it's just letting you're letting the people know that you're going to be all over the place and everywhere when it comes down to these issues. So yeah, keep it going. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And it's two sides to affordable housing, right? When it comes to affordable housing, most people look for affordable housing, especially in their neighborhoods, to bring their property values to a reasonable rate so they don't have to pay too much in property taxes. That's number one. You know what I mean? When Aniwaki was in the expansion process, one of the requirements to have was to have affordable housing within Aniwaki, right? So Aniwaki is the largest neighborhood within District 2, right? It's located right next to New Manchester High School, and that school was built right next to the largest Section 8 housing within all of Douglas County, which was housed in Aniwaki. right? And I graduated from New Manchester in 2016. And so this is no shade to anybody who lives in any type of Section 8 housing within any type of community, but it's deliberate. It's deliberate to put you in that community right there to lower the property values of other houses around you so they can pay easier for their property taxes. And
It's
so
by
again,
design. Yes, sir. It's by design.
it's by design. It's by design. So I see it on that side of the coin, and then the other side of the coin, like you said, a lot of our veterans are make up a large percentage of our homeless population within Douglas County, and who need that, who could you really utilize those affordable houses and units within the county. So when we're accepting these bids from these developers who are building these neighborhoods that we want more neighborhoods and more residential housing, right? Not apartments and townhomes, but actual neighborhoods. When we're accepting these bids as your board of commissioners, we need to solicit for better implementation of affordable housing sections within these neighborhoods and communities, not just a full block or a full street or a full cul-de-sac, right? But to properly, it's all about the implementation, right? Because again, they built those neighborhoods and then they'll slap the Section 8 houses kind of like on the back burner at the end of it. Right, and that influx turns into, again, that the statistic is aimed directly at our youth and how the youth are developed in these high schools or whatnot. At Factory Show's middle school alone, they suspended over 22 students last month in January. Not saying now, I'm not making a connection saying all those students are products of Section 8 housing at all. What I am saying there's a clear correlation between Factory Show's middle school, New Manchester High School, Lithia Springs High School, and Turner Middle School, the lowest performing schools being in the lowest behavioral performing schools being in the apex of the Section 8 housings for the county, right? So we have to be very, very specific within the implementation and accepting these bids to have more affordable housing within these communities to lower these property taxes.
Great. All right. I don't think I want to. Yeah. All right. I'm going to move on to collaboration with other agencies. Now, this one is one that is, very near and dear to my heart, because I think that, collaboration is key to success in just about anything you do, especially when we're talking about, in government. And, if you're going to consider yourself and be a leader in the community, you got to definitely know how to collaborate. And I think it's the thing that irritates a lot of people in politics is how our politicians will not, collaborate with others. So right. With that, under collaboration with other agencies, how do you intend to collaborate with other local, state, and federal agencies to address shared challenges and opportunities?
Right. That's a great question. And I'll even expand upon that question because you want to go federal, state, and when you say local, that even goes to, our middle school principals, our elementary school principals and administration, our high school principals and administration, right? So I joined the PTSA at New Manchester High School, the first one that was actually started in the school's 12-year history, right? And the only one within District 2. Right, and I'm currently working with Samantha McGill to get the whole PTA council on board within the whole county, right? But just starting there, right? That's local. You need a commissioner who has a great relationship with your administrative people in these schools. You need a commissioner who has a good relationship with our school board and our board representative, Ms. Tracy Ricker-Shaw. You need a person who already has a relationship with our commissioner of labor, and has a relationship with all of our representatives on the state and federal level, right? So William K. Bodie is one of my early mentors when I started this political journey, right? So just having someone who already knows this and who doesn't want to take credit for everything. I think that's the biggest thing, and that's kind of what I heard from your question. The biggest thing when it comes to collaboration is who gets the credit for it. That's the key. That's key in why our board defunded all state entities and local entities and nonprofits, right? Because they wanted to grow government. They wanted their people to take credit for the change and effective changes happening in these communities, which makes sense. You pay these people these X amount of salaries, right? And they just get in the community to do all the work for half the cost. Right. And so I get it. It makes perfect sense. But at the same time, when it comes to taking it, I don't care. You need somebody who doesn't care about the credit, who doesn't care about being the poster child for the change. You need someone who's going to be the agent and be the medium for the change to make sure it happens in an effective way.
Good answer, man. Good answer. That's all I can say about that. All right. We're going to wrap it up. We are at 48, and we are going to wrap it up with a little long-term vision. How will you measure success during your term in office?
Yes, sir. When it comes to success, I have a very feasible plan. That's why I come with facts about and knowledge of the budget of current situation of what's currently going on. And I have a 100-day measure of how how citizens can give me a survey of how they feel I'm doing as their county commissioner. That speaks ties into how I plan on being more inclusive and soliciting input from the community and making sure they give first message alerts to what's going on about the agenda, about voting, the voting agenda, and about everything that's going on the local level and federal level. That's the biggest thing I want to utilize, especially with my youth and especially with we're moving into the social media age, social media era. People shouldn't have to come to the courthouse in Citizens Hall every other Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock to hear from a meeting. Not everybody has time for that. But everybody can have time to check their phones or have time to check the mail and check for their alerts to what's going on in their community. So I plan on letting the community judge how successful I am as their leader. And also, to be honest, Rod, the easiest way to see if it was successful or not is to get reelected. You know what I mean? I'm here for the long run, man. So to foster and have an administration and to please the people in a way that I can get reelected.
Okay, so yeah, absolutely. So I tell people if you are thinking about your tenure on any job or at any position while you're on that job or while you're in that position, then you might be in for a rude awakening when it comes down to renewing a contract. And in your case, the contract is the contract with your constituents,
right.
Which is the people who elect you. So absolutely, man. Don't, if you get in there, just think about, think about what you're doing now and what comes in the end will come in the end. So, Candidate Ruben Tillman, man, it's been great. That concludes, all of the questions that we have. We are 51 minutes, so we are still good. I try to keep it under an hour, man, because people are busy.
Yeah.
And but look, it's great that you were familiar. Thank goodness you were familiar with the software that we use, so that made everything go real smooth.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And that made everything go real smooth, man, because I was getting a little nervous. But I understood, but you kept in communication just to let the people know. And again, we apologize for starting a little bit late for our live audience. But absolutely. But hey, this will, the recorded version will be out there for people to see. Hopefully we can do all the things we need to do tonight to get it out and get it published tonight. But if not, definitely tomorrow. So look forward to that. But that being said, man, you rebounded great. You came right in, ready to go. And I hope that people can see that, hey, that's something that you might be able to do. If you ever get that seat, it's like, hey, Commissioner Tillman ran a little bit behind, but when he get in here, he's going to be on point. Yeah. If I remember that interview from the Black Man's Roundtable. So look, we appreciate you being on, man. You won't be a stranger. We're going to talk to many other folks and stuff like that. So appreciate it. And is there anything else you want to let the people know how they can support you, how they can reach you, and then we'll close it out?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can reach me at You can reach me at via email at electrubentillman@gmail.com. You can also go to my website at rubentillman.com, which has a lot of updates and just a way to background about myself and about what I stand for. A couple videos such as this one. Whenever we get a recorded version of this one, will be posted on there and whatnot. And so you can find me on all social media platforms as well, Instagram and Facebook. And that's how you can support. We also are having a volunteering event this weekend. We're having a volunteer event this Saturday morning. We're going to be door knocking in specific neighborhoods in the district. So if you would like to volunteer, feel free to reach out via my website. Just hit the volunteer tab, fill out the information, and we'll get it recorded and reach out to you. And I just want to shout out you, Mr. Rod. I appreciate you reaching out to me and inviting me on to come on this platform, man. We want to continue to grow this. The Black Man Roundtable. All I had to hear was the name, and I said, yeah, I'm there. You know what I mean? We're going to continue to grow this and foster this. This is something that is very extremely needed. I appreciate every question. I I appreciate every stopping point, every time that we park to further elaborate on some things, man. These are the type of questions that I wish that we could ask every elected official at one point in just this simple way. So, you know what I mean? A lot of people are scared to get in front of people and are scared to answer questions and answer the tough questions. And I implore it. I feel like that's the ability to learn. That's the ability to have effective change in the community. So God bless you. God bless the Black Man Roundtable and his entire platform. Thank you.
God bless you too, brother. And I'm not going to bite. We're not going to bite. When you come on here, and just want for people to know that, hey, look, we just want to give everybody an opportunity to be heard. We want for everything to be fair, because at the end of the day, we are unapologetically who we are on this program, and like you said, we're not afraid to be unapologetic. So, and again, brother, good luck out there. It is not the easiest thing in the world to run for, election, and especially of a caliber of a county commissioner who is someone who is on a daily basis dealing with millions and millions of our taxpayer dollars. So we wish you good luck out there. And until next time, everybody, we will see you out in them suites and them streets. Peace. Good night.
Peace. Good night.
Don't forget to check us out on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Do you have show ideas or want to be on the show? Shoot us an email at blackmansroundtable@gmail.com. And please follow us on Facebook.
1